Hi! Welcome to Sesame Street. Boy, Elmo's here to show you the new gentrified Sesame Street. That's a big word. Oh, Elmo lives right there on the first floor of 123 Sesame Street. See Elmo's windows there? And directly under Elmo is Oscar's trash can, which gets a little smelly in the summer. Oh, and there is Big Bird's beautiful nest. There's lots of fun stuff going on here at Sesame Street. See you soon. Elmo loves you.
Hi, my name is David Gallo. I'm the production designer for Sesame Street, and we're here to take you on a little tour of our new set for the 46th season. So we built Big Bird an actual home. He lives now in this tree. We placed his old nest on the piece. We have all of our branches and all of our sort of tree foliage. And then some of the fun stuff is we have the little domestic interior details. He's got the cabinetry that has all of his toys and possessions. We've got his picture of Mr. Hooper. There's his baby picture of him as an egg. Then he's got a mailbox and all of his little bits and pieces. I'm particularly fond of his lamp overhead. He's got like a nice little lampshade and gives him some light so he could read his books at nighttime. Rather than modernizing Hooper's store, I was much more interested in making it look kind of vintage and retro. We replaced the old taxi checkerboard tile on the front, gave it a much more sort of washed out paint treatment, put old vintage awnings that we dirtied up, and created a new neon sign that we kind of damaged and gave years and years of age to. So when we first started talking about making the changes to the set, we used terms like, modernize or make things a little bit more contemporary. And Mr. Hooper's store has sat here for 46 years, and it's such a cornerstone of the community. So what I was really excited about, and rather than turning it into kind of a modern, sort of slick kind of a place, was to get a little bit more retro and bring it back to the way it was in the 1960s. So this design is much more reminiscent of Hooper's store in the 1968 set. We added a lot of old sort of 19th century details, this pressed tin, which we gave sort of a very nice kind of warm aged paint to it. We did a lot of very multi-layered painting effects on stuff, added more cornice and tin, all kinds of sort of fun old school details to bring it back to a lot of the way that it looked back when the show first aired. And one of the things that people find really fun about Hooper's store is all of the products that we have. Everything is made in our graphics department. None of these products actually exist, and people in my art department tend to entertain themselves with the silly names and labels that they make for all the different products. On the tile in front of Hooper's store, there's an old public telephone sign, so we placed a public Wi-Fi sticker right next to it so we could bring the 1968 up to 2015. One of the fun things about building your own newsstand is you have to create all sorts of dummy magazines to decorate it. So this is our prop guy, Keith, and our graphics department made him a doctor in Malpractice Monthly. This one here is my 3-year-old daughter, Citizen, and this is a technology magazine for toddlers. So we have all sorts of fun stuff here in the newsstand at Sesame Street. One of the exciting things about our community center is that it's built in the old unused carriage house behind the arbor area. I was largely inspired by things like the High Line, which are sort of old parts of urban areas that have sort of rusted away over the years, and they got reimagined as new spaces that an entire community can enjoy. Our new roof garden on top of the community center is a really fun place to see what's going on Sesame Street. From here you can look down and see Oscar's can there on the corner of 123. You can see the Mr. Hooper store down below, see what's going on here in the arbor area, and it's a great place to look and hang out and talk to people that are in our new community garden. When I first approached this new design, I rather than sort of think of reconceiving the entire Sesame Street, I was much more interested in approaching it as kind of from an urban planning perspective. So rather than just make changes, I was much more interested in making the changes or evolution that would have happened to the actual neighborhood if it had been a real place. So I removed all of these buildings that were behind the 123 brownstone to give us space for a community garden, and then built the garden itself out of all of the leftover architectural pieces from those buildings. So we have stair parts, window pieces, there's a sewer cover there, and then our stained glass wall, which is made out of all of the windows that had been in those buildings, screwed together, stood up, and then painted ostensibly by our community. One of the changes that we made was that Oscar has the ability to pop up in lots of different places on Sesame Street. He's got his usual place for the can by 1, 2, 3. We created a compost bin in the community garden so he can show up whenever he wants in the local garden. And there's a couple of other trash cans and fun surprise places that he can show up and have his say. He has a much more central location in the neighborhood so he can see what's going on in Hooper's store, the arbor around the corner. He's much more of a central fixture of the neighborhood now. We built this can enclosure. They have a recycling bin and his trash can all surrounded by trash. Thank you for joining us on a tour of our new set for Sesame Street.